6:30. So
Yep.
and I'm just gonna bring everybody's attention to why is there feedback in here?
Yeah.
That's something new. Anyway, that the meeting is being recorded by DCTV. And that's about it. So, we'll go in the order that everyone received on the agenda. So the meeting minutes from July 1st, I'm assuming everyone had a chance to review them. And if someone would like to make a motion,
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as written.
I second the motion.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's unanimous. First on the agenda is 107 Slades Corner Road.
You guys want to share? Bev, do you need one?
No. You can share unless you
I
want
have
your
enough,
own.
actually.
Good look online as well.
Sean, have you looked at these?
So we applied for a permit for a kitchen renovation. We're moving the kitchen from one side of the house to the other at 107 Slade Corner Road. I think we triggered historic. The house was built in the 1900s, maybe 1900 itself. There is one impact on the exterior of the building. If you look at the fourth page in A00, that's a footprint of the entire building. I've circled the exterior wall being impacted in red. Where there is currently a picture window, it will now be a door. If you go all the way to the last page, I have a picture of that window that will be replaced with a door and two windows. All the way in the very back.
Got it.
That's it.
Any questions?
Oh, I saw the pictures online.
Would someone
Anybody else?
care to make a motion?
I would, but I thought I was chairing, so I didn't bring that script of the exact wording. If you would like to share one with me, I will read it.
I have it in here somewhere.
Okay, I make a motion that Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined the building at 107 Slades Corner Road not historically significant, that we approve the demolition permit for the work described in application HDPR 24-33.
All those in favor?
Do we have a
Second.
second?
Sorry.
And I have to recuse myself.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Next on the agenda is HDPR 2436, 5 Narragansett Street.
Good afternoon. Greg Jones, architect for the homeowners who are here, Deborah Elfers and Mark Heffenreffer. The property does have a MHC Form B, which I think I submitted as part of the application process. The house was built circa 1890, shingle style, known by a couple different names, the William Putnam House or the William Underwood House. In a nutshell, the overview of the project is We would like to lift the house up. It doesn't have a basement, it has a small basement under a small portion in the center. The rest is a dirt crawl space that's pretty inaccessible. So we'd like to lift the house up, put a full foundation underneath it, clad the foundation with a stone veneer, and then bring the house back down in the same spot. We'd like to, once that's done, the floor elevation will be about 2 feet higher than it is today, primarily because the grade slopes to the front of the house and the sills along that front side have rotted significantly. So if we can get the house out of the ground a little further than it is now, we won't have that issue down the road. Also part of the project would be to tear off a couple somewhat unsympathetic additions to the house. The primary ones being on the water side. At some point in time, some 1970s-ish windows were placed, this sort of funky little sleeping porch with its addition of a roof on top, none of which were original to the house and look odd to say the least. So we'd like to take those off. The porch itself, the screen porch, has a lot of rot, and like a lot of these non-code houses, the columns sit on a couple stones that are about 8 inches below the ground. So as part of the foundation redo, we'll put them on proper piers and again, clad stone with stone. Where there's stone pillars, there'll be stone veneer. So as part of the process, we plan to take these windows out, this gable off, and also take the sleeping porch off. To replace it, these are 3 new windows to replace those 3 windows. And rather than having this sort of lopsided gable on top of those windows, we're going to have a symmetrical hip roof over there. So now the center of the hip roof is lined up with the 3 windows in the master bedroom. This portion is where the current sleeping porch is, this guy here. So what we'd like to do is reconstruct that, again, with more sympathetic windows rather than the casement and picture windows. And on top of that, put a walkout sort of deck to overlook the water and the lawn, with again another hip roof shingled. There's a dormer, a little hard to see, it's tucked back here. That's this guy here. Redo the screen porch, as I said, much like it is now, just with new materials. And instead of it being only on the water side, we propose to wrap the screen porch around the back where it is now, as well as along the southern portion of the house. Right now, if you look at the photograph, there's a deck there now, and our deck would be the same size, but instead of just having a railing, it would be a screen porch. And on top of the screen porch, we propose a deck with a baluster on the 2 sides, obviously to keep people from tumbling off. And what we've used in the past, and I had promised a couple times to bring a sample, this is the railings we've been using. It's a PVC coated aluminum railing, not shiny, so from a distance it looks
Painted.
quite legitimate. Feel free to pass that around. And it doesn't require maintenance, painting, and it does come with some options, one of which we'd like to do, which are a series of these sort of Chippendale inserts at various locations. The other change to the sort of, so up until now, this is all within the existing footprint. The only other change we're proposing is there is a small currently there's about a 12-foot deep sunroom here. What we'd like to do is enlarge that to 14 feet and make it a kitchen instead of the sunroom that it is now, to better take advantage of the views, and it works a little better with the flow of the house. The last change to the footprint, there's an outdoor deck in this area. We'd like to take that deck away and make it a first floor bedroom, so that as the clients age, they'll have an opportunity if needed, to have a first floor bedroom bathroom, because currently all the bedrooms are upstairs. So those changes, this is where the old sunroom is, and now is the future kitchen, and this is the future first floor master bedroom peeking out. As part of the project, we propose to take all the shingles off, the roof and sidewall shingles, replace it with red cedar shingles. Plan to replace the windows, some of which are original, some of which are not, we haven't fully decided, it's either gonna be pellet clad windows or the Anderson A-series windows with true divided lights on the exterior, interior, with a spacer bar between. We'd replicate the moldings that are up there. We're gonna try and save as much of the trim around the roof as we can. All the electric is gonna be replaced. It's obvious, it's an antiquated electric system, so it'll have new electric, new mechanical systems. And as part of the purchase process, and I'm happy to turn this into you if you'd like it, it's the report by the home inspector, which documents considerable rot in a lot of the first floor framing members, the old HVAC and the old electric systems, in much more detail than what I've proposed just now, but if, you're welcome to have it if you like. So other than that, I'm here to answer any questions, and of course the homeowners are here too if you have any questions of them.
Where would you say the biggest visual impact change would be?
I would say on the water side where this little lookout is going to be. Because right now, there is this, a sleeping porch there. So the biggest impact, I believe, is adding this sort of porch deck lookout. But it's something you see a lot of in Naquit, these upper story sort of funky little places to go and, catch a breeze and get the view. So it's not, I don't think it's out of place in Naquit. And there's already living quarters up in the attic, so we plan to clean those up and continue to use them. But this would be sort of an added feature. So that's probably the biggest feature. And you can't really, you wouldn't see it from the street. You'd see it from the water side and perhaps from the neighbors with backyards that sort of run along the same backyard as this. So that's probably the biggest visual change to the place.
Where's the front door to the, I'm just trying to
Yep.
visualize how that works with a 2-foot.
So this is the front door, and currently that front door is there in this photograph.
Oh, okay.
So it
Thanks.
stays in roughly the same place. So that's the proposed front door.
Yeah.
This is the existing front door. And of all the doors in the house, this one is 2'6" wide. All the other doors are 3.5 to 4
You say
feet wide.
3'6"?
2'6". So for a front door, it's awfully skinny. So we plan to put a little larger front door, and instead of this little shed roof, do a gable roof over it to give it a little more prominence.
Okay.
Because right now, you'd be hard pressed to guess that that was the main entrance to the house,
Yeah,
given the size of the place.
yeah, for sure. And this is showing the 2-foot,
Right, so this would be the
change
stone veneer along
in
the
elevation.
base of the
yeah.
property.
And it's gonna be about 6 or 8 over 1.
I'm trying to match what was there, and it's a bit of a mixture of 12/1s, 8/1s, depending on the width.
Yeah.
So where I could, I matched what was there, and then in other, where we have new openings, I tried to gauge what the proper proportion was.
Mhm. Okay.
May I add a note?
Sure.
Is that what you're calling a sleeping porch, originally a drying porch?
I don't think it was ever original to the house, because the way it's sitting on the screen porch roof, it's actually broken some of the beams that it sits on. So I think it was added at some point without anybody really thinking about the,
I asked that question only because when Nonquit was founded, there were two rules. One, that your earth closet had to be attached to the house. And the other one was that you could not hang your laundry out unless it was in an enclosed laundry yard. These were Victorians.
Yeah.
And so we have what is now a sleeping porch, but in fact, it was really a drying porch because we wouldn't want anyone to see what you might have washed and you were drying.
Yeah, I don't think,
Well, you're probably right. I'm shooting on, one of my roles is as historian of Norfolk. And so, therefore, I am amused by this. Took me a while to learn what an earth closet was.
I'm assuming it's a toilet.
Well, after a fashion, it is a wooden box-shaped structure with the appropriate hole in the center, and a bucket that goes underneath, but a hopper on the back that holds earth. And so when you push a lever, it drops the earth into the bucket on top of what might be there. And then the patent application says, and then you carry it out to your garden.
Yeah, very nice. Kind of like kitty litter.
Exactly. But this was part of a historic exhibit that we did a few years ago. But that's what I thought of when I said porch up there.
Greg, the 2-foot, when you're lifting the house 2 feet for the foundation, that doesn't, that's within keeping of the height restriction?
Yeah, we'll still be within the 35-foot height limit
Okay,
of
that's
zoning. Yep.
my only question.
Dartmouth is one of the easier communities to make that work, because they actually don't measure to the ridge, they measure to from the ridge to the gutter line, and you can take that halfway point is probably the measurement. A lot of other communities say the ridge is the height, but Dartmouth has a little more leeway.
Greg, are you facing the foundation with
Real stone,
real stone?
yes.
Yep.
Not the cultured sort of marshmallow looking stuff.
No further questions?
Someone needs to make a motion?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we okay the changes, the renovations as presented. I don't have our exact legal wording, but I would like to make that.
Do you want to do it as read, or?
Yes, please.
Okay, I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined the building at 5 Narragansett Street, Nonquit, not being historically significant, we approve the demolition permit for the work described in application HDPR 2436.
And I second.
We have a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll probably be back at some point because there's an old, I don't know if it's a carriage house that we're gonna work on too, that we haven't quite figured out yet, but we'll talk about that at a subsequent hearing.
Good luck for the work.
You guys can, if you want this, you want them to have it? No? Too much paper.
It's exciting meeting.
So the house is not historically significant anymore. What do you get? So it's not historically significant anymore.
I didn't bring my hearing aids.
75%, they're working on this house.
Uh-huh.
It's gotta be over 75%.
Next on the agenda is HDPR 2437, 7 Middle Street.
Hi there. I am Tim Lund, the architect, son of the owner, who I'm representing. We are asking for a very minor change to the house at 7 Middle Street, which was built around 1900 or 1911, depending on what sources you believe. The Macris Form B shows 1911-ish. I found 1900 other sources. We are proposing, I assume you have looked at the application. We are proposing changing, a very minor change to an addition that was put on in 1978 and then rotted out and was fixed again in 1987, changed a little bit, and is now, all the glass is failing. So we're hoping to not have the roof windows fail again, and just replace the windows with windows. So I actually found in the archives a couple of photos of the inside, which I did not share. This is from the original 1978, and that's sort of the same view a couple weeks ago, which could be added to the files if you want. The original edition, the roof form was about 45 degrees, now it's around 30. Neither one has been successful, so we're just proposing changing, I think it's 12 feet by about 4 feet of roof from the glass to flat to match everything else on the first floor of the addition.
And can you just tell us, I'm sorry, the DAR number on that inventory, just for the record?
Sure, it is DAR 363.
Thank you.
Need a copy?
No, no, that's fine.
How about paper?
And it's stuff, it's a portion of the house that's very difficult to see from the street. It's an obscured elevation from a true elevation. You can see a little sliver of it, but it's a minor visual change, so.
Any questions?
I have none.
Can someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to approve the demolition permit. The Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined that the building at 7 Middle Street, not significant, approve the demolition permit for work as described under HDPR-24-37.
Second?
Second.
Or
Oh,
third?
you say.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All set?
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is HDPR 2438-211 Horse Neck Road, which was not built in 2016. That's an error.
We did this get left out?
Hi, folks.
Hey.
I'm here representing myself. I'm a rookie at this. Do you want me to give you the floor plans and stuff, or they're all in the portal, but would you like them? I would love them back, because you don't.
Oh, no, then if you're gonna, if you need to keep them, just go ahead and keep them, because we have them in the, you're right, we do have them in the portal.
So, 211 Horseneck Road is a tiny little house, 786 square feet, of which I think is about 400 feet is original, which you guys have seen. The portion of the house that was added onto probably in the 50s, that foundation has failed its inspection. So what I propose to do is to take the house down and rebuild it as is, identically as it is. So that is my game plan. I do notice that when I purchased the house, the house has had its licks over the years. It's had all the plumbing taken out. I did have a demolition permit last year to demolish the inside, which I have done. So at this point, it's just a house that wants to have a new life, and that's what I want to give it. Any questions?
I do, if no one else does. As I understand it, that house is located on Assessors Plat 23-5.
I'll take your word for that.
Okay, which is 0.42 acres.
Okay.
The house behind, I don't know if anybody recalls this particular property that came before us in 2021. The former owner built a studio behind this house. And when they came before the Historical Commission, they didn't want to live in the house. They wanted to live, because they were going to live here permanently, they wanted to live in the studio. So the town said that two houses cannot exist on the same lot. So they had to make a choice. Their choice was to live in the studio. We requested that they keep the house, but dedicate it for storage. We gave them permission to demolish, I believe, the later addition, which was on cement block, but we asked that they retain the historical part of the house, which is on granite. And it were to be used for storage. And I will read, okay, let me just finish my first thought. The lot with the studio on it is 0.64 acres. So even the two of those lots combined only make up 1.06. That is residential, I believe it's B, which requires a 2-acre lot for each house. So that doesn't make the 2 acres. Besides which, I'll read into the record, when we had the public hearing on May 16th, 2021, 211 Horseneck Road requests to demolish 2 newer additions on structure, leaving original portion of structure intact for use as a storage shed. And that was followed by a motion by Jordan Burson to declare 211 not historic and allow the demolition of additions as proposed. But they were to keep the original portion of the house intact as storage. So I'm not sure that we can reverse that decision. That was a decision that had already been made. And we do not have, as of the end of business today, I had asked for the building commissioner to weigh in on this about the acreage requirement, and I haven't heard anything. So I think that sure.
The acreage requirement has nothing to do with historic. It has something to do with building. I've been through 3 building inspectors, who all 3 of them have said that part of the equation is a brand-new septic system that is for 3 bedrooms. And right now there's a studio apartment. So I proposed to the building inspectors, Braga, I don't know who came after that. I can't tell you how many have come and gone in the last 4 years. But I've asked every one of them, is it okay now that I have a 3-bedroom septic that I can utilize the house rather than let it go to waste, along with the studio apartment, have them both hooked to the same septic, even though it's 0.6 whatever acres. And he said, all of them have said, as long as you don't change the footprint or any of that fashion of that house, that's fine. They all wanted setbacks. I've done everything they've asked me to do. And I've done it, and now I'm at this juncture. So I've had people ready to sign off, everyone except historical.
Is it? Can I ask?
Yes.
I've been on this committee for a while, but this is the first time this has come up.
No,
No,
you were here.
Sue is right, that's been,
I have your name as.
Okay, all right, isn't this supposed to go to another level before it comes to us? Isn't someone else like the?
That's why I asked for the building commissioner to weigh in, because we can't.
I just want to get that clarified, because I thought we were discussing a historic venue here, and this is a little bit out of my purview of hearing that this was already voted on a while ago, and it's now up before us again. and it's gonna be like,
Well, unbeknownst to me, it was ever discussed. This was before I bought the house. And when I bought the house, I went on inventory of historic homes in Dartmouth. It's not on it, so I thought I was home free. It's not part of the inventory on the internet. I don't know if that matters, but,
Well, I mean, it mattered to us that we wanted to keep the original portion of the house, and as I understand it, you want to demolish it totally.
I have to demolish most of the foundation because it doesn't pass code anymore. So as I'm doing that,
I think the only way we can resolve this is if somebody will, and hopefully the chair, when he's back, can sit with Randy Bassett, the building inspector, and come to some kind of a conclusion, but I suspect you'll have to come back to us because this means that we're going back on our original decision. Now, why this information was not available to you when you did the research on the house and why the Katzenbachs were not forthcoming about the decision that we made is unfortunate. So, but I don't.
So let me ask you this, if I wanted to still do this and be within the scope of being historical, if I kept the original foundation and just built a new one around it, because otherwise the house is gonna, what I don't understand is I just wanna revitalize this house, and granted, I don't wanna do it the way you want me to do it, but I just want something to be there that resembles the old house and looks the same and has as one of my builders said to me, why build a new house on an old foundation? Especially if it won't pass inspection. But if I just keep like part of that foundation that exists now and build around it, I still wouldn't be able to take the house down because historically I have to keep it as a storage facility.
Well, because the Katzenbachs chose their living space to be the studio in the back, not that house.
Okay, so basically, the Historical Commission has the authority to stop anybody dead in their tracks
no,
from revitalizing a house.
no.
We work with
We're
the
supposed to
building.
advise.
Philip, please. We work with the building department because this is beyond, this can be beyond our scope. So it's best that we work this out with him.
Okay? All right.
What, go ahead, Michelle.
That's Bev.
I do remember when I was in the building department, this project. And I do remember the owners wanting to live in that studio. And because they couldn't have, I believe at the time it was the square footage, because you can have two dwellings on there. You can have an accessory building and a house,
Right.
as long as it met the certain square footage. And I believe they're trying to change that now too, to make it more. But they wanted to live there, so that way, they had to make that house storage. They had to take certain things out of it.
Yeah, they took all the plumbing.
Took all the plumbing so that nobody could live in there. I don't know what the building department has said since I've left, but it would have to, if they ever did it and did the other house, the other dwelling, which was the house that they were living in, would have to be an accessory apartment or a building.
Yeah, what is accessory?
And it would have to meet certain criteria with the square footage and so forth, but that would have to go through the building department.
And we just had town meeting,
Yeah.
which it lays out what the definition of an accessory dwelling unit is, and they've actually expanded upon it, but it has not been approved by the Attorney General's office yet.
Okay.
So if that may work in your favor, let's say, because they're still waiting for the AG's office to come back with an approval.
And, Ed Bailey was the well, other than the new guy who's there now, I forget his name, nice guy, I've met him, talked to him. Ed Bailey basically said, all you gotta do is get me setbacks, and as long as it meets the septic criteria, yeah, I don't care, I don't mind that you don't have another dwelling there, as long as it stays in the same footprint. So I've been like, okay, I'll do that, I have no problem with that.
All right, question. What is the square footage of the cottage?
I believe it's 786 square feet.
700, and if these new auxiliary buildings are passed by it's the Attorney General's office, you said?
No, I said that this past town meeting,
Yeah,
we reviewed the accessory dwelling unit bylaw, and there have been some changes made to it.
right.
But we have not heard back from the Attorney General's office, so it doesn't become legal until that happens, so.
And I think that proposal was to allow what's it called, an auxiliary unit? Is that
Accessory dwelling unit,
accessory
ADU.
dwelling, of up to 1,000 feet, is that?
I didn't bring the
I think that's the number
details.
that, it's,
It used to be 800, that was the original, because I had to
it
work.
was 800?
I had to work
For a
within the
living-
eight, I
for a
had to
living
work
space?
with the 800
Uh-huh.
rule.
So that could work in your
So, I
favor.
mean, even this proposed house is less than 800.
But is this the accessory or is the studio the accessory? I mean, these are all questions,
Studio's even, well, studio's probably bigger than the house.
yeah,
So this would be an accessory, so that's what I wanna do, is build an accessory. Anyways, I don't know, I just, it's a nice little house, I just wanna revitalize it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you would be willing to compromise and keep the basement portion of the oldest part of the house if it could be worked into a new foundation for the rest of it, if it was
I
possible?
would certainly be willing to consider that if that were to lighten the load
Thank you.
of this project. Otherwise, I was gonna keep the rocks and build a rock garden or
Right.
something along those lines.
I remember talking
Because,
about that.
you know, you've seen them, it's not a tremendous amount of rocks.
No,
Uh,
they're just in their original location.
But if I had my druthers,
Mm-hmm.
I would extract those rocks and start fresh,
Right, I get
if I could do
Yep.
that. That would be my plan.
That's my only question.
Bev, would you be, if you have the time, would you be willing to, when Robert comes back, meet with Randy
Yeah.
and work this out so that we can get you resolved?
I'd be glad to be there too if that is needed or if that helps.
Yeah, because this went back to Paul Murphy. That's how far back it went. When Paul was,
Yep.
I just know the three that I've built.
Okay, so, we'll keep you in the loop,
All right, so you make a motion to keep me in the loop.
yes.
Are we gonna make a delay for this?
We've already done that. We've
Okay.
already, this property has already gone through the 6-month delay, so that's really not, I don't think so. I mean, that'll be up to the historical meeting of our commission, should Randy have something else to add, but more than likely, it'll come back next month,
Okay, so the next thing is, this young lady will meet with Randy
yes.
and then keep you.
And the reason I've asked Bev that question is because she had worked in the building department for
I remember
years, yeah.
very well.
So she's a great liaison as far as that goes, yeah.
Okay,
So how are you voting on this tonight? Are we gonna vote on
It's
this?
just tabled, yeah, exactly.
Just tabled?
okay, folks,
All right, thank you.
have a good night.
Okay, so the only other thing on the agenda is the Form B, the next group of potential properties or houses or buildings, whatever you want to call them, for this next round that we're going to apply to CPA for. I'm not clear as to what Robert's thoughts were. I mean, do you know?
No, I didn't speak to him at length after we talked.
Well, Chris and Robert and we met to go over a number of properties that are spread out. Some are from the prior to 1891, both South and North Dartmouth, and an additional 5 from 1900 forward from a list that we've been referring to. And I think once we were able to find out how many of them will allow for accessibility, and I think Robert is kind of working through the process. He was interested in having a better understanding, Linda, of the outline. Like, how did you, and I think that's all in the office. Like, how did you decide, how did you determine who was gonna handle the Form Bs? And what were the required qualifications, questions like that. So I'm sure that's all in the office from the last round. So I think we just have to find out where it's located.
Okay, if that can help, available.
All right, great.
I did send an email to Buddy at the end of last week, telling him that we were going to be coming to him soon and asking him what the process was and timeline and things like that, and I have not heard back, but I think that was either Thursday or Friday I sent that to him, so. If I don't hear from him by Wednesday, I will shoot him another email and see if I can get that answer.
And I guess by next month, we'll have the list. And then, anybody on the commission, of course, is welcome to review it.
And one of the big ones was the Smith Mills.
Smith Mills camp meeting. I received an email from the woman who did she did an area form for Tremont camp meeting in Marion. And I thought she would be a good person to tap into for that particular part of the project. And she sent me an example. She sent me the Form B that she did up for Tremont, and I can share that with everybody before the next, our next meeting, which is on September the 9th. And is there any other business?
I just wanted to mention one thing. So I had gotten a call from Board of Health because for some reason, someone was trying to get a hold of Historical Commission, and it was going into the community nurses. So they took down the information, and I called the woman, okay, and I believe she's a Realtor, and it's regarding 99 Bryant Street. So I called her and I said, if you could send me your email, and then I would send it out, and someone can get back to you, but she never sent me her email or anything like that. So I can reach out to her again and see. But the house did have so I went online, the house did have a Form B. It's this one here, I don't know if you can see it.
Is 99 Bryant,
We picture of you. Go back.
Oh, did it go?
Oh, sorry, it went away.
Let me see.
I hit something
You got
with
a
my
picture of me?
knuckle.
We don't want a picture of me.
Oh, it's lovely. I wonder if she
That's-
tried to,
Bryant Avenue? Is
Yeah.
that?
sounds familiar. I wonder if she tried to email through the DHC email site, because I think Robert's been having trouble getting onto that. When it was originally set up, there was two-factor authentication, which they have to have on it, and so all the emails were only accessible by me. So when I turned everything over to Robert, We went and talked to Chad, and he was supposed to have fixed everything, but I don't think he's been able to get on our email. So who knows what's lurking there.
Don't you have a email box?
We all have it, or I was the only one who could access it, because if you go there and you try to log in, they call your cell phone, they do a secondary to your cell phone. And so when I stepped down as chair, I went to Chad with Robert and said, okay, he's the new one, could you please switch over the two-factor authentication? And we thought we had it all set, but apparently Robert is not able to log in yet.
Why do we have to have a two authentic?
Something the town has required,
For,
security.
That's got nothing to do with your personal email. This is email for the chair to communicate with
Right.
clients that.
So that we
Yeah.
might have gotten this 99 Bryant Street email, I don't know.
about it.
Somehow I lost it, but you know what? If I go
Sorry.
over
Can
here-
I ask a question while can I?
Yes, go ahead.
I discussed this with Linda, and this sign was on a wall on a building down in Caden Arrow.
It was on the Woodhouse shop.
Right, and then someone stained it with something and it turned brown. Then the person who owned this wood shop sold it to someone else, and they put the rock thing, ice and apartments on the top. In the meanwhile, the sign was supposed to have been sent someplace to be cleaned up. In other words, someone used the shellac covering to it and it turned brown. And I never got a chance to get down and get a picture of it when it was brown, but I did get a picture of it when it was white. It is a National Register District sign, and it's kind of legally registered for that area. And I have this picture and a couple of other pictures of it. Have you heard anything about this sign on where it is? And who do you find out from the people who live in there, who are very mysterious? I think there's an attorney who was on Union Street. I haven't seen him for a while. I think he works out of his office. His brother is the one who did the renovation of that building. So I just thought since I was asked to try to find it.
Expand it.
I think Judy tried multiple times and she was unsuccessful, so I'm not sure what more.
Do you want the phone number?
I suppose Robert would want to get back to her. I can try to get on the email too, and see if she's tried to email us on the official one.
Is there a Form B on the house in the files in the office?
It's online, so.
Online
It's
now?
not that, so, but we just want to see what she's trying to communicate to us.
Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting if anything else is gonna go.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.